be a good night.
Freeze. What's going on?
But I was able to scrounge up a gallon of acetone. Now, be very careful. You smoke a Virginia Slim too close to this stuff, it'll catch fire, okay? Snare wire, various gauges. A creepy child-sized CPR dummy. Its purpose a mystery to me. Shotgun shells, per our lovely lady's request. 320 packs of water balloons.
I love those water balloons. Those are the best one. They got the thick skin.
Selecting the grenade style as it felt thematically appropriate. Do keep those far away from.
Yeah, like cheaper
Nancy's
materials.
the only one that like requested something lethal.
Feet of barbed wire.
Everyone was like toys and shit.
Oh, I almost forgot.
Right?
Some sparkling new spark plugs for Bilbo Baggins.
Bilbo Baggins.
He's the Hobbiton.
That's it?
Yeah. Well,
I'm
I
also
mean,
giving out free hugs.
he's a
You didn't
fan.
get the turbocharger?
No.
The suspension kit?
No.
The aerodynamic spoiler?
No.
It wasn't a goddamn Christmas list, Murray.
Christmas time.
That's exactly what it was. And the fact that Santa Murray scrounged all this up in a single afternoon and smuggled it in what is likely the most heavily secured location outside of the White House, Fort Knox, and Area 51 is a goddamn Christmas miracle. So, count your blessings, hang some mistletoe, pucker up, and kiss
my jolly ass. I love that opening scene. If you guys
Ladies,
yeah.
gentlemen, thank you for watching our show and welcome back to another crazy episode of Golden Craft Cast with me and my cousin Sergio. We're here and we're drinking beer and we're excited from the last season, season 5 of Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
We have now crossed a threshold in our podcast where we've done research. We've actually done research for something.
Yeah.
And we're excited about this episode. We came out the barrel with it, and we've been probably thinking about this episode for about 2 weeks, maybe?
Maybe 2
Right?
weeks, maybe longer. I don't know. You pitched it.
I've been watching a lot of videos kind of comparing Stranger Things to a book called The Montauk Project, Experiment in Time. And it was basically a book written by this dude named Preston Nichols. And this guy wrote this crazy sci-fi story about basically what became Stranger Things. And what we're going to do today is kind of a special episode. Not only are we drinking beer, not only are we talking Stranger Things, but we're actually going to dive into the comparisons between the Montauk Project experiment, conspiracies, and Stranger Things.
Yeah, so we're basically comparing a conspiracy theory. They're not known facts against something that's fictional. So it's fiction in fiction if you want to think about it. But if you do want to believe, it could be nonfiction comparing to fiction. But whatever, it's up to your interpretation. But I think this is going to be a fun one because, I mean, like you said, like we did the research and we're going to be comparing things that are just like, well, this is something that, you know, from what I heard, like for a long time, like, yeah, I think Stranger Things was based on something, but people couldn't like
Put their finger
on it or point like, oh, they got it from something. And it turns out it was this, you know. So we're not just talking about this. We're also talking about like little things behind the scenes, little things about like what went down when creating like the Netflix series. The Netflix series that we called Stranger Things, and how this phenomenon happened, you know. So yeah, it should be a fun
not
one.
only is it a phenomenon, but I feel like a lot of people don't actually know about it. And like there is a lot of content online, but I don't like everyone that I've talked to about the Montauk Project doesn't know what I'm talking about. So everybody that I've referenced it to, like family and friends, like, do you guys know about this? Do you guys know about the Montauk Project? Nobody responded in a way that was like, oh yeah, I know about that. So like this to me was like a way that an avenue that we could mix, you know, some entertainment of actual real conspiracy and real life government stuff that happened, quote unquote, with entertainment as far as, a streaming show as successful as Stranger Things all the way to the 5th season. And the way they're laying this season out, I think is genius. They've got one coming out in a few days. So if you're able to listen to this podcast before then, we're actually going to make some predictions on what we think is going to happen in those episodes. But thanks for joining us again. This is Manny Ruiz and Sergio Ruiz. We're cousins, and we're here to drink beer and talk some entertainment right now. So without further ado, we bring you Stranger Things and the Montauk Project. But before we even get into the real aspects of this episode, let's get into what made this all possible in the first place.
Beer.
Well, it didn't actually make it possible, but it definitely contributed.
Yeah, a lot of influence coming from beer. Nothing go wrong with beer. So what did you get? This is something that you chose because it reminded you of something.
So obviously right now it's the holiday season, and it's technically at midnight. It's going to be the first day of winter, and this is a Mexican style winter Bock. It's called "To All a Good Night" by Brewery X. It's a delicious Bock. It's very toasty. Let's read what it has on the back here. It says brewed and canned by Brewery X. It has the address, Brewery X_X, Mexican style lager, winter Bock, edición limitada. They're going ahead and using the terminology here. And this is why I chose this beer. And Sergio, I don't know, I texted him and I was like, dude, check out the beer that I got for this episode. I think it catches it right. So if you notice, there's a poinsettia. Medianoche right there, a flower, carnation, the one that they usually have around
Christmas
winter
time.
in December and stuff like that, bright red. And to me, when I was looking for a beer for this episode, and when I passed the aisles, I thought this was a Demogorgon face. So I saw the face on the freaking on the thing, and
literally texted to me. He's like, "Doesn't this look like a Demogorgon when it opens his mouth?" And I'm just like, guess tomatoes and shit like that. And then I told you look, this is the equivalent, again, going into our culture. In our culture, you see there's always one fucking family member that says oh, I saw the Virgin Mary on the tortilla. It was the equivalent of him seeing the Virgin Mary on the tortilla. And it's I guess I don't fucking know.
Well, look.
So, I mean, I guess that makes
tomato,
sense, bro.
potato. The point is this. To me, it looked like a Demogorgon face. It's in season, and when you open this up and pour it, it does look like upside down.
Honestly,
it's very dark.
Yeah, honestly, I will take it for the context of the holiday season. It's actually a good pick. So, yeah, let's just see what this tastes like.
I'm gonna go ahead and give this a pour right now. Let's see.
Ew. Wait, so is this Border X? Brewery X.
This is Brewery X. Brewery X.
Okay.
Not Border X. My
Border
bad.
X. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 5.9.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a 5.9.
Dude, the color on this
it's right under 6, but it's it's very it looks like maple syrup. It looks like a Coca-Cola,
It's very caramel. Like a caramel red type, caramel brown, reddish color.
And right now I'm using the technique of pouring the beer where you pour it violently and kind of just get all of the carbonation out.
I do that too.
In the beers in the past that we poured on the podcast, it's always we've always done the slow pour. Sometimes we don't even pour it at all. I was actually thinking about using a draft top this episode, but I didn't want to get any sponsorship,
Whoops.
into any trouble with that or anything like that. But maybe next episode we'll do it. But either way, I like pouring this in the glass because just look at that color, man. It literally looks like the syrup that they use for Coca-Cola. I mean, what smells you getting off of it?
Trying to see the color.
Can't. That's the thing about it. It's a Bock. It's a
Bock? No, that's surprising.
So it's not technically a lager, but Bock is very close.
Honestly, it has the same smell as a red ale or something I'm just getting this very caramel smell to it.
So the Bock
a little
is
bit of a lager. A little bit of a lager.
I mean,
yeah.
you could it's malt forward obviously,
Yeah.
but it's For me,
Maltese,
it's
that's what it
always
was.
I like this one. I talked about it in my past episodes for it being a lot lighter and crispier than, a lot of the IPAs and stuff that we'll be drinking on the episode. I'm going to go ahead and sip this one up. I think we're ready to go here.
All right, I've
You
been
ready?
Yeah.
Cheers
I
to the
would-
craft, my man.
Cheers. I sipped on it already.
Wow. Nice healthy sip.
Definitely a little bit of the malt there.
Oh, but it's super aromatic. It's got a lot of flavor to it. I love
It does.
I had this at a Christmas party and it just shined inside of the cooler.
It's shining a cooler.
It looks great.
so
Yeah,
like,
because it has
it,
like that
spoke
gold
to you?
aluminum. Yeah, it has like that gold aluminum and on the top, so it just reflects the light really nicely. And I mean, the beer is a pour,
a
and
good
it's
graphic
not
choice.
like it's dark, but when you see it, it's like, oh, it's dark. It's gonna have like a toasty flavor, but it's not a toasty flavor. It's a malty flavor, and it's very like it reminds me more of like an amber.
Yeah. It's like very medium bodied. Like
Yeah.
it's like not that light, but also like not heavy. It's like right there in the middle. I like this one actually.
And usually Bocks are higher, but the ones that I've had are a little bit lighter. But
Yeah, most of the boxes have been like a little bit more lighter. I agree on that.
this one specifically though is really light on the hops. You can't really taste that many hops. It's more about the malts. It's rich. It's more like full in that sense, you know?
A bit nutty. Okay.
It's a bit nutty,
It's a bit nutty.
to be completely honest.
I like this one.
All right.
It's good.
I like it. And we'll get another little review on it later on. So, you ready to get into it, Serge? Let's do this.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, we're going to give you like a brief intro to it. So, like we said, it is a conspiracy theory, and it definitely has like a timeline, a history behind it. So, basically, the Montauk Project is like a massive theory that they had experiments happen like in the East Coast, in Montauk, New York, which is like on the eastern tip of like the Hampshires or the Hamptons or wherever it is. But
Technically, Camp Hero.
Camp, yeah. Technically, they have that name as Camp Hero, or it had a different name. It was like an Air Force name. I think they just called it like the Montauk Station or whatever. But anyways, like this experiment was conducted during like the early 1970s to like the early 80s. So it was like a span over like almost 2 decades. But I think before that, you can't talk about the Montauk Project without talking about the Philadelphia experiment, because the Montauk Project is actually the part 2 of the Philadelphia experiment, if you don't say so. Manny, if you will.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a little preface into the Philadelphia experiment because this is what kind of kicked off leading into supposedly the Montauk Project. So this experiment, overseen by Dr. John von Neumann and based on theories from Nikola Tesla. So this is stuff like this, and the theories with Nikola Tesla can go on and on and on and stuff like that, that he's got ancient technology and he knows like different, he's obviously done wireless technology. He has all these different stuff. So he was messing around with the government, and they're saying in 1943, witnesses claimed the USS Eldridge vanished in a green-blue mist, briefly teleported to Norfolk, Virginia, then reappeared in Philadelphia minutes later. Crews allegedly suffered severe psychological trauma, burns, memory loss, or were fused into the ship. So imagine like Jumanji, when Robin Williams is halfway through the attic in that one scene, except these guys are in the metal of the ship. I in my research, I also saw that apparently some people were turned inside out. So, the late 1940s and 50s, survivors of the experiment are said to experience time slips, invisibility episodes, and mental instability, leading the Navy to allegedly shut down the project. One key figure later tied to Montauk lore, Al Bialik, who claimed recovered memories decades later. Maybe it's someone that's trying to tack on to like the history and lore of this, or maybe trying to make a buck. Who knows? Because money was made off of this for sure, off of this book and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
So,
surprised.
1950s, 1960s, research supposedly continues underground, shifting focus from physical invisibility to mind control and time manipulation. Technology and personnel are allegedly transferred to Camp Hero Montauk, New York. 1970s to 1983, the Montauk Project allegedly expands on Philadelphia experiment technology, combining electromagnetics, psychic amplification, and human consciousness experiments. Central figures in Montauk lore include Preston Nichols and Duncan Cameron, basically claimed to be a child participant, aka R11, in this context. August 12th, 1983, alleged Montauk project shutdown. Well, you'll see why later on, but the date strongly parallels the 1983 settings of Stranger Things. Sergio?
So, of course, like you see it in Stranger Things, like this experiment, this whole project was just based on like basically how would I say it? It was during the Cold War. So we were basically the US was having like this whole thing where they had to be, the best. We had the space wars. We had like, the Cold War in general where we were fighting against Russia and, with Russia having their technology and us having our technology. So
It's a technology
it
race,
was
just like right now with
yeah,
AI.
so it was basically a technology to advance like stealth operations or military advancement or anything like just one upping Russia basically, which is what the Cold War was about. And you kind of that's why you see those implications in Stranger Things where you have like the Russians, you have like the Cold War tensions going around. So it all comes from this, just based on like urban legends and just scientific implications here and there. So the first claim, believers and whistleblowers, they claimed the project was a continuation from the Philadelphia experiment, which we just talked about. From turning ships invincible to now like experimenting on like actual human beings to be like their weapons or their super soldiers, if you will, if anything.
Psyops.
So one of the key figures that they did was mind control. So they were using high-powered radars to influence the mood and thoughts of the surrounding population, which, you could use that weapon to, manipulate like the human consciousness, basically turn them into like, the high mind, leading them into believing one thing or another, which is kind of scary to think about because like, you kind of could think about that in today's context, And then there's this thing called the Montauk chair, which is like a psychic amplifier that allows the test subjects to manifest their thoughts into reality and see through the eyes of others. So you could, like anything that you could think about, it'll just manifest right in front. And, they did manifest some things, which we're going to come back around. And the see-through thing, which, of course, like you kind of see it in Stranger Things as well, where you could see someone like through the first person point of view or get knowledge from another person without the knowledge of that person that's being the subject of infiltrating their minds or infiltrating like where they're at, so it's just like again psyop type of stuff.
Just real quick, going back to the Philadelphia experiment tidbit, there actually was the Philadelphia experiment movie made in 1984, and in 1943, that's when it takes place. So they did actually have a movie called the Philadelphia experiment that came out apparently the same year that this happened or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, continuing on, we had mind control. We had the Montauk chair again, and then they
Yeah.
were also experimenting with time travel. So basically creating like a time tunnel or like a wormhole that allows people to travel across time and space, which is going to be pretty useful, in changing times and going back into the past and changing things as it is, which is the whole
Right.
conspiracy on itself, to be honest. And then, of course, the psychic soldiers. So, they basically kidnapped and abducted children, and those test subjects, which they become known as like the Montauk Boys, they were basically trained to be psychic weapons, for the usage of like modern warfare and shit like that. So, that's the thing that was just like, oh, well,
They could
this
be
is something
like,
like,
find the enemy's location of where they're keeping the nukes.
or more like where we get the intel on finding this person and getting this person to tell us where we could find the codes for the nuclear
And I
detonation
believe
deactivations.
they've like when I was watching Criminal Minds, they would I was like doing some research about that, and they said that they would actually use people that had like telepathic abilities, or people that had psychic abilities to actually help them with murder cases, and sometimes they would actually find stuff and turn up. So what makes it so hard to believe that in the government they'd be able to do the same exact thing, but not just take people from that have grown up in regular civilized life and take them into, now a government life, but actually from the time that they're young and small, train them to be these super weapons, and then take away their memory from all of this from ever happening in the first place once they become of age, or when that time is appropriate for them to just men in black them, if you will.
If you will. So, I mean, before we talked about all those like key points of what they were experimenting on. So basically, like this whole theory started with like a book which was written by Preston Nichols back in 1992, which is simply called like the Montauk Project Experiments in Time. And it's basically Nichols and another author that pretty much helped him like write the book, make a claim that he was part of an experiment, which is what we call like Project Montauk. And all this was basically claim on repressed memories, which is like something that you can't really like take it from face value, because it's just like one guy saying about this and claiming that
Well, it was
he's
two
making
guys.
this.
The other co-author is Peter Moon.
Right.
He ghost wrote and co-authored the original series.
Yeah, he aided
And
him
mind
in
you,
his,
it was a series. This was a series of books.
yeah. So, I mean, like you could like even in the book, from what I heard, they said like, yeah, you could be a skeptic about this, but you could take this like, either like nonfiction or fiction, or take it as you will, because I think like he was aware of him saying like, okay, if I say this,
Yeah.
then people are gonna be skeptical, but I'm not gonna like push it onto people to say like this is actually true. This is just the story that he's telling, that he's explaining,
In some of the research that I did watching different YouTubers talk about the same situation, some of them actually said like,
Long Island.
during the time in different interviews, he explains that, he was hard on money, and he was thinking science fiction writing is the moneymaker. It's the way to go. So there's also that to take into consideration of
Yeah.
like, he also had the mindset of like, he wanted something to sell. He wanted to make money off of something, so that's why he kind of makes it like ambiguous, like, believe it if you want, I'm leaving the story up to you. But this is what's interesting about it,
That's
because
good.
like, you have the MK Ultra project, you have different things like that. So is it that far off to think that, something like this might have been possible?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were in that consciousness were thinking like, oh, well, I mean, there's, like you said, the MK Ultra projects, and also like it was at a time where people were skeptical about what the government were addressing, or we're telling the people. So I mean, it makes sense that something like this will come up and say like, hey, like it's either true or not. But I mean, at the end of the day, like this is one guy like just straight up saying this, so it could be true if you look into the research, which
But
I'm
what
pretty sure they
happened
did.
later on in the story is he like Preston Nichols actually took the camera, took a like a VHS camera and went into Camp Hero and recorded him and Duncan actually in Camp Hero base and going around, and basically like Duncan was remembering and like stuff was coming back to him and he knew exactly where to go. So in that sense it was like almost like a pre-planned production, but when you watch it, and it's weird because when you watch, I've watched clips of the YouTube video, like it doesn't look like it's pre-planned, like, and this guy does not look like some kind of actor or anything, like he looks just like some regular dude. So it's kind of weird, and that's what kind of drew me to this like skepticism of kind of opening up this door, or this, if you will, rift into Stranger Things, and getting into that, because it's like, who's to say this isn't possible because of all the weird stuff that's happened before
Yeah.
in our timeline.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that they say is basically true. Like, Camp Hero was actually a real place, and a lot of people have been saying, well, there's claims to be saying like, it was a decommissioned station that brought like a bit of an eerie atmosphere to it. So there's something right there, and there's not claims that they were doing something, because of course, like the government's not gonna admit to that. But on top of that, there was also like the Sage radar, which was on the Camp Hero, which was a massive 70-foot radar dish that looked intimidating and was powerful enough to jam local TV stations and radio stations when it was active. But just to like really clarify on things, like they also like claim it to be like the fishing village, because that's where they basically had
They
like a lot
adorned
of,
it with fake windows and doors to make it look friendly. So I'm actually sharing some images
Friendly?
right now of it. Yeah, so that's what it's known for. Like they actually put like fake windows and like fake stuff to make it look like a little fishing village.
Huh.
But like, I mean, if you look at it from afar, like you see like over here in this area with like that lighthouse underneath that building right there, you see all those windows, those could be fake.
right.
They're just made to look that way. And then there's like, a satellite. There's different stuff right here. Like if you zoom in, this is it says right here, you are now looking at Camp Heroes Battery 112, which was completed January 24th, 1944, similar to the time the Philadelphia experiment happened. By the way, that's kind of weird, right? This battery contained two Navy Mk2 M1 16-inch guns capable of firing. So they had guns ready to take out German U-boats at this location. This was a military base, and it was sanctioned to, right here in this photo, you could see property, the state of New York area closed to the public. Violators will be prosecuted. And it's just this giant radar that's like, whoa, man, I could just imagine the high definition they'd get on that TV, because this thing is huge,
I
man.
think that was
This thing,
right before high definition, so it might be like hi-fi or some shit.
and I mean, like, there's aircraft training here. There's aircraft training in Camp Hero. So I mean, like, there's like when we talk about aircraft, we're talking about UFOs and stuff like that. As far as unidentified flying things, I wouldn't be surprised if they found stuff like that. But what interested me the most, and if you look at, I'm going to go ahead and close this and zoom out. But if you see, it's like on this peninsula
On Long
in New
Island.
York, and it's like miles and miles away from New Shoreham, which is another island, and Fisher's Island and Gardeniers Island. So this is kind of like connected to land, but not connected to land in a weird way. And it's like just out on this really like sketchy edge of the nation. It's like literally right at the east the eastest part of the East Coast.
The eastest tip
You know?
to the eastest coast.
Well, technically, the eastest tip would be like Pennsylvania and stuff like that, or Prince Edward Island.
got
Why
tips.
did I say Pennsylvania? I don't know why I said it said P. Whatever. Okay, but like,
Well, that's
right
technically
here, I'm looking
Canada.
at Prince Edward Island and
That's Canada.
Sydney and stuff like that.
That's basically Canada, bro.
That's basically so Maine. But let's not get hung up on the fucking map here. All right. I didn't study that shit. I studied Montauk. All right. So basically this, like, okay, if something were to go wrong and something were to be released, where would you want it to be released at? Would you want it to be released in the middle of the country or on the very edge?
You would think at the very edge, but I mean,
Exactly.
there's gonna be people that are gonna notice that, but not as much as like, you know, putting it in the middle of a goddamn city or like a countryside, where the most of the attention is gonna be drawn.
I mean, just these photos look just murky and sketchy, and there's like all kinds of like. Let's watch this video right here. Like, there's an embankment. There's just like a cliff that just falls 25 feet down. Like, it's straight up like, stay off this property. Look at this is a image of the building with the fake windows and doors too, or they could have been shuttered. Who knows? But I mean, it
Right?
just looks sketchy. Look at this.
oh boy,
They got the cricket in the background.
those
I ain't dealing with that.
those crickets are actually
Very eerie.
very eerie, and I'm pretty sure they're artificial crickets. So
What does that say? Artificial crickets, eh?
yeah, they could
It
record.
says Montauk Blogs.
They record sound on the
Feedback.
premise, so if you come near, they'll hear you out.
Look at, and they got everything right there. Who knows? There's probably cameras all up here, all over the place.
The grasshoppers are.
Look at this. What does that remind you of?
Yeah, exactly. Look at that.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
Like, that's actually taken from photos of here. Like, this is the Air Force Station, man. It wasn't just some camp. It was like an actual station. Like, look at these. Look at these. It's eerie. It's like,
Oh my god. Who lives
look
there?
at this one.
I wouldn't-
This literally looks like the Amityville whorehouse.
Whorehouse?
Look, if you need to get rid of a body, guess what? You got a 1,000-foot graveyard right there.
Oh boy. That's never
There
a
you
good
go.
sign.
You want to get rid of something real quick?
You want to get rid
Look,
of a
who
body?
knows? There's all these sketchy people right here.
You want to see a dead body?
Look.
We'll come back to that
Yeah.
one later.
Okay, well, that's my point. It's just a sketchy place. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing screen. Go ahead with the
Sure.
story.
Yay. So, yeah, that was fun. Seeing that. It still looks spooky as fuck. Everything we just described, it was there. So, you know, it's a real place, a real thing. So much so that it is the biggest claim to fame, which is now you see like the drawing inspirations through Stranger Things, like, you know, like we don't have to point out the obvious because you can see it with your own eyes, you know. So, like we said,
Or if you can,
was-
we will happily describe it to you.
we will describe it. But like we said, behind the scenes, the Duffer Brothers pitched this idea to Netflix, which originally it wasn't even called Stranger Things. It was actually just straight up called Montauk. But, you know, not make it too obvious on the subject matter, they just decided to call it Stranger Things because it just sounds cool. And then Montauk just seems like a little, I don't know, a little sketchy. But, you know, most of it, they just moved the location over to, like, you know, the middle of nowhere, Hawkins, Indiana. I shouldn't call it the middle of nowhere, but in a rural town.
Well, I mean,
middle
it
of
gives it the
America.
hometown vibe. It gives it the small town vibe, and it's
Gives it
not
a
on
bit
the
of humble.
edge of the nation, like we prefaced earlier. Like, it's not like right at the edge, like on a peninsula. Like, obviously, there's not going to be a Hawkins High School there, at the edge of fucking, you know, the country.
Montauk
there's
High
nothing,
School?
There's nothing over there. Montauk High School is going to be like six kids in a short bus.
Right? And then every
Who
day,
the fuck?
every day they play water polo.
Deprivation tanks. Right?
Right.
So, talking about the Montauk chair. This is what's interesting is in my research, I found that Duncan was saying that they would amplify his signals. And this is kind of like going to kind of the end of the story, right, Serge?
Sure.
Okay, so Duncan Cameron is described as the project's most powerful psychic subject, aka 11. He was reportedly used in the following ways: the Montauk chair. Duncan would sit in a high-tech chair, an electromagnetic psychic amplifier that allowed him to manifest his thoughts into reality. In some of the research I did, he said, one of the people that witnessed him said that he would go into a room and he would think of something, and like, let's say it was a can of beer. This is from the interview. This isn't just for the podcast. He's like, but sure enough, he's like, if it wasn't today, if it wasn't tomorrow, at some point, there would be a can of beer on the table. So he could like physically manifest things. He could 3D print things with his mind.
Yeah. Or in a way,
Like with atoms.
like how people are using like AI, you could just prompt things into existence and just make an image. But this time,
Or who
he
knows?
put it into reality, which is
Or
scary.
who knows? What if he could only time travel and made it seem like he was doing telekinesis by going back in time and putting a beer can, putting a thing. You know what I'm
Using
saying?
the
Like when
time
you're
tunnel?
dealing with this kind of stuff,
Using the
you never
portals.
know what the actual thing is, like what he actually can do, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of weird, but it's just it's if you watch the YouTube videos, and go ahead and look them up if you want to. It's the Montauk visiting Camp Hero with Duncan and the Montauk Project. If you look up those videos, they look like VHS tapes, but it's him going through the base and like looking stuff up. It's really trippy. But I mean, remote viewing, like they're saying that he could remote view by holding a lock of someone's hair, by holding something, a material, he could see through their eyes and feel what they felt, parallel to Eleven's use of sensory deprivation and like what she does and what she's able to do. And you really see Will do this in the last season, right?
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it yet, what the hell are you doing listening to this podcast or
Yeah,
watching?
we're gonna
Obviously
talk
you
about
want a
it
good
later.
taste, but we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about what happened. So I mean, for me, it's like you see that happening, and that he can do this too. This is parallel to what, you know, apparently these psyops kids, these Montauk boys could do. The time tunnel is claimed to Duncan. Duncan's psychic energy was used to stabilize portals through time and space. So similar to how one was used when they amplified his power, right, and opened the first rift, and like right opened it initially and just tore it open like a wide asshole.
What ass?
I don't know why I said that.
Al
Sorry.
Pacino. I know what you were saying. She's got a great ass. But except the ass in this context is a portal, so I mean, tomatoes, I guess.
Tomatoes, potatoes.
Yeah.
It's another world down under.
Yeah. So one of the things that he manifested, which, you know, this is the scariest part of the story, was what they called the beast from the ID. We'll explain what the idea is. So basically it's parallel to like the first season, and apparently they have a date on this. On August 12th, 1983, Duncan actually reached his breaking point, to the point where he was able to manifest not just objects but an actual creature, you know. And while he was like on the Montauk chair, the only thing he muttered while he was like, you know, in that mode was, "The time is now." And then from his subconscious, he released a monster that was known as a Demogorgon. Well, it was modeled after the Demogorgon, but they describe him as this large, hairy, hungry beast that just like manifested out of his thoughts. And apparently it just went apeshit and just tore up the whole place, tore up all the scientists, and just, you know, wreck shit up like that. And, you know, this basically caused like the whole facility to close down and basically closed Montauk Project completely off, like off the grid after that shit happened. Which is, you know, as we can like make comparisons to Stranger Things, we could say like this is the model for like the Demogorgon. You know, something that, you know, I can't remember. Didn't 11 basically manifested the Demogorgon, or the Demogorgon was basically like a
I think it was
product?
one's manifestation, like when they started doing like all
You know
this
what? You're
stuff.
right. Yeah, because after the portal opened, he went into that world and he manifested those monsters. Huh? I never thought about it. I did. But the reason why they call it the beast from the ID is because, like, in your subconscious mind, there's like three parts of you. There's the ego, the superego, and the ID. And I'm not gonna get into the science behind it, but basically, it came from that part of his subconscious, or his personality, that it manifests as this monster that just was a part of him, if anything. But again, going back to the Philadelphia experiment, Manny, if you will.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like show pictures of it
Yeah, if you
or
want.
what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the crazy part is there's not that many. It's just pictures of the ship. So let me just see if I could pull up pictures of the ship itself.
Yeah. So apparently,
Cause
like, another whistleblower by the name of Al Bielik, he claimed that he and Duncan were actually brothers, which, they were both named Edward and Duncan Cameron, who originally were sailors of the USS Eldridge, which is the ship that they used in the 1941 like Philadelphia experiment, the first experiment that eventually evolved to like what we know as Project Montauk. And he basically claimed that he jumped off the ship while it was turning invincible and traveled forward into 1983. So
I'm sharing pictures now.
another crazy claim that not only was he a part of the experiment, but he also like traveled across time to 1983. Became like, I guess one of them became the experiment for Project Montauk.
Just some gnarly photos.
Well, I guess
It
both of
like
them were
it like
recorded.
teleported in a building, like it arrived in a building. There's like a photo of like hands and faces inside of a wall with like a hand and foot coming out.
Yeah.
There's like a photo of like people on the coast or on this, it looks like a dock, a cement dock with sailor hats on, looking the water where the boat was
No
located,
shit.
and you see some light like shimmering out of it, just like shining out, and it looks like something's about to happen. But there's like photos of like a dude like halfway through the wall, and like a black and white photo of just like this big ass shit with a bunch of almost looks like a Call of Duty ship, to be honest with you. Like if
Oh
you've
God.
if you played Call of Duty and you like go to like where it's like one of those ships, like that's what it looks like on the top.
It looks like one of
But
those.
apparently this whole thing like kind of like the Twilight Zone or Tower of Terror,
Twilight
this
Zone.
vessel,
Yeah.
like the Twilight Zone, like the elevator in the Tower of Terror was the vessel, right? And they teleported to another
Oh,
dimension.
right.
In
Yeah.
this case, the vessel was a vessel. It was
A ship
the
vessel.
USS.
A naval
It was
vessel.
a ship.
A ship.
Yeah, it was a naval vessel. So
Really
I mean,
interesting. This is a thing that's actually like real. This ship was actually real.
yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting, if anything. But I mean, we all seen like all the comparisons with like that and Stranger Things. So I mean, all this like you could just straight up see like even if it's like fiction or not, it really does make for like a great concept for a movie or a TV show in this case. But I think if anything like what's another thing we could compare it to, because we have 11 and Cameron being those vessels, and then we have Demigorgon, and we have that fucking Harry the beast of the ID, and then of course we have all the subject matters and
Okay, you're gonna
all the
trip out.
Montauk boys.
Okay, so this is something that I didn't plan, you didn't plan, but something I just did right now. That's freaking awesome. So
Right.
what I did was I used the context of your notes and everything we took from the Montauk project and described like the beast, right? And then
Right.
I took that into Chat GPT and told it to give
God.
me a prompt for Firefly, Adobe Firefly, and
All
I
right, show it.
did a generated image of what the Montauk monster looks like. Okay?
We're waiting.
Hold on. It's worth it. It's pretty freaking cool. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. So, if you can't see it and you're listening, it's basically like this. Can you see it, Serge? It's like this
Ugh.
giant beaver looking thing.
Zoom in.
It
Zoom
looks
in.
like a giant. I'm trying to. Here, let me download it.
What is that thing? Kill it with fire.
No, it's opening Photoshop. Oh shit. Hold on.
Oh my god. Wait, so what did you use for the prompt?
Okay.
There it is. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
I can see it. Yeah.
Oh god! Ah! Too much! I zoomed in too much. Okay, so this is the first one. So like you can just imagine and then this fucking thing appears. And it's like a it's like a giant buff rat. That's what it looks like.
God.
Maybe, who knows? This guy was afraid of rats. You know?
Damn, it looks like
they
a
did
bat.
they did experiment on rats a lot,
Yeah.
you know, government wise. So maybe he was afraid of the rats and like it manifested as like this giant thing. Here's another one that I got. Let's see. It
I was
went
about
back.
to
Let me
say,
see.
yeah, I was about to say Matt Splinter fucking found his steroids and, you know, got all jacked up.
Here's another
That
one.
one
That
looks
we
like a
did.
fucking bear.
This one looks like a fucking bear with like, oh, that one looks fucking scary, bro.
It looks like,
That one legit looks scary.
oh my god.
Describe that one, Serge.
So, it basically looks like a body of a troll, like sort of a yelly, and its mouth is as wide as its body. Like it's just like so uncanny how like
Oh shit.
extremely
It's like
scary
the
it is.
top of its mouth is just like 3/4 of the way up, and its jaw is like all the way to its pelvis.
It's close to his pelvis, yeah.
It's like the middle of his body is a giant mouth with jagged teeth, and he's just got red eyes and like fucking 6 claws, and he's just standing inside of a room with like a computer, like these old school computers, and like tore a hole through the wall. It seems like.
Oh my god.
I got 2 more. Oh, this one it gets even worse. This is probably the last one I'll do right here. All right. All right. Oh shit. This one looks interesting.
This one looks like a fucking troll. It looks like
This one looks like, I don't know, man. It's like a mix of both, but it's just bigger and wider and scarier
I feel
than
like
the other ones.
Yeah, I feel like it's like its face is just mismatching its body, and it's just like
It's
way
like
in.
if
It's like
if
in.
there was a giant bear and then a marmot or a gopher, and then you cross them with a demon and a troll and, and Sasquatch,
Yeah.
and then put them in a room with a computer.
Yeah, it just looks
That's what it looks like.
it just looks so squished in, but it's just so big and wide that it's just like that's what makes it
Freaking
so
gnarly.
fucking
Well,
gnarly.
I'm glad I did that because that's freaking cool. Okay, I'm gonna
Alright.
stop that.
I did mention the AI.
There we go.
So yeah. Yeah, scary stuff. Scary stuff indeed.
Yeah, dude, imagine seeing that. Like, that's from the deepest, darkest depths of your mind. Like some fucking crazy beaver-looking motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the guy was just going through puberty, and that was just puberty manifested.
Okay,
It's
okay.
scary.
All right, so kind of going into it. Okay, so like before we move into actual Stranger Things right now, like I want to go ahead and talk about the legal jargon, or like not the legal jargon, but like
The real life
the stuff that
case.
actually went down behind this, because obviously this story was like supposedly science fiction, blah blah blah. And what else, Sergio?
Well, apparently they wrote a treatment, which you do when you're like pitching an idea. So the script was originally like a 23-page Bible for the show. So, again, like it was a treatment, it was a set of ideas, concepts just written down in just pages and just having like, this is the premise, this is the characters, this is everything. Which, we mentioned before, like the original title for Stranger Things was Montauk, just simply Montauk.
It was called Montauk.
Yeah. And
So
everything was just like, based on this, what we just talked about, and took notes from that. And they basically just changed everything from like the settings and sort of the characters. And oh, I did not know that. So they changed it to Indiana, which, it's actually
Hawkins,
shot.
Indiana,
It's
yeah.
actually shot in Georgia because in Georgia it's much cheaper to shoot things, and you get
Yeah.
more for tax reasons and stuff like that. And
as far as Montauk though, like taking that away, there's actually this website right here. I'm looking at New York Law, NYU Law, EDU Kessler versus Duffer. So this was a lawsuit between Kessler and the
I could
Duffer
barely read
brothers,
that. Yeah. go
and
ahead.
basically a conspiracy theory and the origins of Stranger Things. So I'm just gonna like take a little excerpt from this. Maybe we'll link this in our episode or something like that. But basically, the success and mass cultural appeal of Netflix Stranger Things is partly due in partly due in which, in a way,
No,
it
do
incorporates
the whole thing.
familiar story tropes and cinematic techniques to create a show that feels simultaneously fresh. I'm gonna take all this bullshit away and basically say this: there was a lawsuit between the Duffer brothers and this guy basically said they misappropriated his ideas. They went during a conversation at a premiere party at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2014, two creators, Stranger Things, Kessler alleges he discussed with the Duffers his idea and his unproduced screenplay, The Montauk Project, based on the supposedly real Montauk Project, firstly described in the Montauk Project series, a book by Preston Nichols. We went over that. The supposed Montauk Project is a subject conspiracy urban legend that is what we talked about. And basically, like, he's suing them because of this conversation that they had. But this is what happens. The Duffer brothers acknowledge the Stranger Things is also based in part on legends surrounding the Montauk Project. So they actually admitted to this. And an early version of the show was actually also called Montauk and was to be set in the eastern Long Island town. However, the Duffers claimed that while inspired in part by the urban legend, they independently created the show's concept based on their own interest in the urban legend and have emails dating back to 2010 in which they describe ideas for a show based on the Montauk Project before Kessler released his short film, which he released in
2010.
2011, according to IMDb. Charlie Kessler made this movie. It says right here, short description from my IMDb. For years, conspiracy theories have surrounded Montauk area from the government projects to something deeper and more supernatural. Now using files unearthed from the archives of a Suffolk County Police Department bear witness to the latest and most shocking incident in the history of the area. Okay, so it's like this is a movie that came out, okay? And he's talking about a series to the Duffer brothers about this specific thing. And he's like, okay, well, yeah, whatever, cool. But the Duffer brothers are like, well, we have actual, emails leading back to this, right? But then I chat GPT this and I asked this question. I said, could you, if you wanted to, change the date on an email? Okay. And hold on. Yeah, it says this AI overview from Google. Yes, you can technically backdate an email by changing your computer's time before sending or manipulating the email headers, but it's unreliable and easily detectable because servers add their own timestamps, creating a trail that reveals the true sending time, making it problematic for any serious use, especially legal ones. I don't know about that, man. I really don't know about that.
I could
Sometimes when
actually
you get a
believe
traffic ticket,
Yeah.
okay, this is my point, and the guy is not there that runs the cameras, who gets away with it? right?
Right.
Whoever's fighting the ticket, they just don't show and they win automatically.
Yeah.
So
If the
I
officer
don't
doesn't
really
show.
feel like they do that much. I mean, this is a crazy case. Obviously, this is a big case. But okay, look. Methods with limitations. Change computer clock. Set your PC's date time backwards. Send an email, and the client might use that time. Use inspect element edit HTML. For a second screenshot, you can alter the visual date in your web browser's developer tools, but it disappears on the refresh. Okay, if you have screenshots and you send these over to them, they're not going to make you log into your email and show everybody live the emails, right?
No.
Would they? I mean, what's your opinion, Serge?
I mean, I think just
In
like
court,
I think
do you
just
think
like
they'd
them.
make you log into your email and show the email live?
I think like if you have like a screenshot isn't enough, so logging in and then going into your actual email, it will trace like a time where like, okay, my email towards this person, the recipient, got sent on this day at this time, right?
Okay.
So I think it's a little
See,
hard. I think it's a little hard to believe that they would like trace it back.
I just exactly, and I
Yeah.
feel like if in the heat of the moment in an actual court case, you're pulling up files, bro, who's running the PowerPoint? Who's running the projector? Are they going to be able to help you remotely log into your email live in front of everybody?
I don't
And
think just
you know
live
what
to
I'm saying?
everyone.
That's a stretch to me.
Yeah.
That's a big stretch to me.
I don't think it would be
I
live
feel
to
like
everyone.
they took screenshots.
But I think just like showing it to a judge and then the judge showing it to, the jurors and seeing the case in point, like, oh, it was this time, it was this day, the email got sent. So it was right before,
Right.
the movie got made and, years before, Stranger Things had happened. So the, like this is my overall thing about it when it comes to copywriting.
Hold on, hold
Like,
on. Let me finish the rest of
okay,
the points real quick before your final overall thought, okay?
right.
You could also set up your own server. Running your own email server gives you control. So if they like did a thing where they ran their own server, technically they could do that. And then this
Yeah,
is
I
where
could
it
do
says
that,
why
yeah.
it fails and it's risky before you give your final thing. Server timestamps. Every email server, Gmail, Outlook adds its own received header with an actual time date process in the email. Metadata trail. The most reliable time is the bottom received header showing when the servers first got it. Date header. Legal issues. Backdating emails can be considered falsifying documents with potential legal consequences.
Right.
Okay, so let's go into your final thoughts. I'm curious.
Okay, so when it comes to everything being copyrighted and writing your idea and shit like that, I mean, you could take inspiration from like the same source material, put it right there, and it's a completely different interpretation based on like the creator, director, or producer that's making that project possible, because it's not going to be the same. There's going to be
Right.
similar concepts and stuff like that, just interpretations is completely different. So just the fact that you said like, okay, well, I made the Montauk project, and case in point, like this is all the process. This is all what the movie is about. This and that. I don't know how many people saw this, and then you have something like Stranger Things, where, I don't know how much different it is from Project Montauk compared to like the actual Stranger Things, but it
What
it
do you
could be
mean?
it
We
could be
just
super
did a
different.
whole
No, no, no,
episode
no,
on
no, no,
it,
no,
bro.
no. The movie.
Oh, okay.
Focus. The movie, right? Was it called Project Montauk or just Montauk?
It's called Montauk, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
See?
called Montauk.
and that's a good reason to fucking change your title, because it says, oh, it's called Montauk, and it's like, and then they
You
probably
can't name it that.
You can't name it that because there's a film project like that, and it's like, oh, Spike Kessler is like, oh, we talked to that guy, so we're gonna make our own interpretation of the same source material, and do that, and then I don't know how they got the rights for it, or I don't know if the rights are valid.
That's what the whole lawsuit's about.
Because like when it comes down to it, it's the original creator that's like when it comes down to him, what he says, if he allows like the permission, the creative licenses to produce this project, whatever interpretation it might be, is say like, hey, this guy's gonna make it, okay, license to do it, right? These guys want to do the same thing, but make it at a larger scale. All right, go ahead. When it comes down to that, I think that's what's important. Not between like the two guys where their ideas isn't like it didn't come from them straight up. It came from like a source outside of their own creativities, or their own it didn't come from them personally, but they got it from an outside source and then made it their own.
Okay.
So it's
but
just
the
like,
fact is this. It's just interesting to me that the best defense for the Duffers, best argument is the 2010 emails allegedly showing the Duffers were working on ideas related to the Montauk project, similar to Stranger Things, what it was to be. The early pilot script from 2013 has a plot which was closely tracks many of the plot lines that would eventually be present in the final version of Stranger Things. While Kessler alleges other specific elements overlap, the Duffers seem to suggest that those elements are not novel and that these writings show that they had independently created many of the major elements in Stranger Things before alleged meeting with Kessler. Okay, so they're saying that we are the guys that made this. We're the guys that made this, right? But dude, for reals though, we're looking at A, B, and C of these direct ideas that were taken from technically Preston's book.
right. I think just
Okay,
the way
so-
that it seemed like they kind of won on that, only because like Stranger Things became a bigger phenomenon than whatever the short project was, and say like, hey,
Right.
and I think it's just like spite. It's just out of spite, to be honest. It's saying like, I did this and then they made it bigger, and it's like, okay, well, you really can't. You could compare all you want, but at the end of the day, it's just like, it just turns personal more than what it is as business.
Look, I just saw at the end of it, I read somewhere that Netflix apparently got in contact with the guy and was like, hey, like, drop it kind of deal. And the guy, they dropped it.
Did they? What was
They,
it?
I mean, that's what it
What was
said.
what was the number? Did they pay him? How much
Okay,
did
let
they
me
pay
see.
him? It's probably not gonna say, because they probably
Let me see.
blackmail.
Let me
No,
see.
not blackmail.
I don't think. Well,
They paid.
you know
They
what I'm
paid him on the
saying?
table and say like, hey, like we'll pay you this much. Just keep your mouth shut. Just let this happen. Just shut your mouth. Take the money. Let it be. Let it be. This kind of reminds you of like, because I recently watched The Shining. So
Okay. So hold on real
Hold it
quick.
on.
Final outcome. Before the trial actually began, Kessler withdrew the lawsuit in May. He withdrew the lawsuit in May 2019. And he issued a statement saying that the deposition testimony and early documents from 2010 and 2013 showed the Duffers had independently come up with the core ideas. So he signed something.
NDA.
As a result, he acknowledged that his work had nothing to do with the show's creation and dropped the case. After withdrawal, there is no trial, no judgment against the Duffers. The lawsuit simply ended when Kessler's voluntarily dismissed it after Netflix contacted them.
Paid him under the rug. Be like, hey, hush
No,
money.
who knows if they even
Hush
fucking
money.
paid him, bro?
Hush money.
What if they were like, do you really want to pursue this? Like,
They got the Jewish.
Eyes wide
They
shut
got the.
kinda shit.
They got the Jewish gangsters at his doorstep. Be like,
dude,
"We're gonna
I'm
drop the
fucking
case."
telling
They're gonna drop
you,
the
it's
case.
fishy, bro. This in itself, this in itself is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I hope we won't get in
like this
trouble
is
from
why
this.
this is why I wanted to do this episode, man, because it's this is what happens. Don't ever share your fucking ideas to anybody. You can't hack pen and paper, people. Keep that shit under lock and key, and I think you'll be all right. But if you have an idea and you wanna fucking chit chat and you want, oh, what are you up to? What are you up to? Have a plan B. Give them the plan B. Don't give them the plan A. And maybe don't even give them the plan B, because the plan B might even be better than the plan A, and you don't even know it.
And then they take that as their own and be like, hey, we came up with it.
Look, man. The point is this. it's a little fishy how everything went down.
Mm-hmm.
And the conspiracy and the whole plot with this story and how much it compares to Stranger Things. Dude, the Duffers can't say they created every single aspect of this show. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we're just even we didn't even read the book, man. This is just stuff that's out there. And I'm saying, like, I'm not trying to brag like we didn't read the book. Like, obviously, yeah, we probably should have read the book. But the thing is what we did was we kind of picked the brain of people that took a bunch of information from all over the place too, and we filtered that in and then put that through, and this is what we're coming out with. Like, this is something that's a little different than what was talked about in the other videos that I've seen. Am I wrong?
Well, it ain't right.
Well, shit, man, you got me on that one. So
For sure.
I guess just to move forward, man, there's a lot of things that went down with this. Who knows what actually really, really, really happened and behind closed doors and why he signed that shit. But look, the Duffer Brothers admitted to using the Montauk Project books as the basis for Stranger Things. That's no lie. They acknowledge that, but at the end of it is what we said is, like, a lot of this compares to real shit that actually happened. So
Allegedly.
they said this, the Duffers' response: the lawyers called Kessler's claims completely meritless, highlighting their independent creation and existent nature of the Montauk conspiracy theories. Lawsuit, filmmaker charge. Yeah, so that's basically the end of it. Like, they said, like, they're complete, like, this guy's fucking nuts.
This guy's nuts.
And they just called it a day. And he withdrew his thing. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that just the crazy? Out of one of the most expensive, how much money has this series made?
Over millions, close to
Let's see.
$1 billion.
Let's see.
I want to say close to $1 billion. That's my guess. I don't know how they make their revenue. based on
Okay,
TV.
how much has Stranger Things grossed? Stranger Things, okay, this is the AI overview from Gemini. Stranger Things has generated massive revenue for Netflix, earning over 1 billion since
Wow,
2020
1 billion.
alone, driving growth behind the global phenomenon, with which estimates it could exceed 2 billion by the finale. Bro, this is the biggest franchise.
in TV history.
And it got this whole lawsuit just got. Well, have you heard of this lawsuit previously?
No, I didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It got swept under the rug, and I'm gonna link it. We'll link this. We're gonna link the lawsuit so you guys can see this shit for yourself because it's real.
It's real.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Out for another beer?
Yes. Let's take a pause real quick.
We are back. We're cousins.
We're cousins,
We're cousins.
and we're
kinda
back.
We're kind of like brothers. We love each other. Let's give a high five. I don't know.
Give me a high five. It's a Christmas season, and we got another beer here for you, having to do with the Montauk Project and Stranger Things. This was a find by Sergio, so I'll let you take
Yes.
it away.
So I found this. It's a great beer. It's not a freaking Virgin Mary on a fucking tortilla. It is, out of context, called. It's a little hard to see, but it's
You have to
called
put
the
it in front of your face.
No, I have to put my finger right here, and then it'll actually show. Kind of. It's transparent.
You need a background like a green screen.
I don't have a green screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
There, your arm's the background.
Yeah. So this is called The Beast of Two Worlds. And out of context, it is about two worlds, the upside down and our world. And the beast in place could be the Demogorgon, which is obvious, or it could be 11, which is she goes beast on both modes. On both
Ooh,
worlds.
interesting.
Or will,
That's
if
an
you
interesting
take it.
theory.
Yeah, or will.
It says
if you want.
Lagunita's Beast of
We'll get on
Both
that.
Worlds. Bi-coastal IPA? What does that mean?
They're bisexual.
Just like you. Okay.
Not really.
It says, what does it say at the
mean,
top? We're
it's not
never
wrong.
one for directions. Beer speaks, people humble. People mumble.
Yeah, that
The
reminds me.
greatest beer this side of the Mississippi. Which side is that? Dunno.
You
We were
decide.
never the one for directions. Beer speaks, people mumble. There's a QR code here. It says be responsible. It says
Please
here
recycle.
8%er. Jesus.
I know, it's a good
Petaluma,
thing.
California. Okay, let's give it up for Lagunitas right here with the beast of both worlds.
You know, when you said bi-coastal, it kind of reminded me of like a professor that I had in community college, and he said like,
What's that?
"Well, consider me being bi," and everyone was like, "What?" It's like bi-coastal because I live on the East Coast and the West Coast. And we're
Maybe
all
he was just like trying to give a secret message to his students, like a creep.
yeah, it's like
You ever think of that?
if you know, you know. I think so.
Dude, I had this teacher that
Here
during
we
his
go.
slideshow about, okay, this was an earth science teacher, and this guy showed a photo of himself on a motorcycle. Mind you, this is like a 4.5 foot nothing dude, super short dude, old guy on like a freaking like motorcycle, like cop bike with like the full gear all leathered out.
Sounds
And
like
then asked one of the students, "You want to take a ride with me sometime?"
a really
Like,
insecure guy.
it was weird, bro. It was the weirdest thing. And then like, and it was with Dennis, and yeah,
That's how you met
it's
Dennis?
crazy. It was a crazy, yeah. And then we
I'm
were
sorry.
like, we looked at each other like, what the fuck? Like, this guy's on a weird one.
Yeah, and that's how they became friends. Who knows?
Kinda. Cheers to
That's how it
that,
is.
gentlemen.
Cheers that. Wherever
The
Dennis is.
bi-coastal beast. This one's a lot hoppier than the last one. I'll say that much.
This is interesting. I like this.
It's, you know what? I feel like the East Coast brings like the saison-y, like the winey kind of the wine flavor.
I feel like
Because
it's the other way
there's a
around.
little bit of that in there. I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think?
I think it just has that taste of kind of like a West Coast, but not like over pungent. And then it's just bringing something else, which I don't know what an East Coast IPA would be.
Let's look it up. I'm gonna look it up
Yeah.
real quick.
I don't know if that's a thing, but yeah, man, definitely look it up. But there is like a light West
Okay.
Coast thing going
Oh,
on.
I mean, we're familiar with it. It's a hazy. So New
So it's
England
hazy.
IPA. So an East Coast
Right.
IPA, also known as a hazy IPA or New England IPA, is a juicy, fruit-forward beer with low bitterness and a soft mouthfeel, and a cloudy appearance due to its filtering and significant late hops addition during fermentation, creating tropical citrus fruit-like flavors, pineapple, orange. Which I do actually kind of taste a little bit of that drier, bitter profile of a West Coast IPA, contrasting with the drier, bitter profile of a West Coast IPA. So like, it's brighter. It tastes like a lot brighter, like more acidic, but it's not bitter, like very hoppy, like a West Coast IPA is.
Yeah, I feel like the aftertaste is like, I'm noticing this now, where it's a bitterness, but then it feels like it's just laying flat right after. It's just like,
Yeah, it says it has a fuller malt body and specific yeast strains that enhance fruity esters, making it smooth, creamy, and intensely aromatic. But I mean, yeah, it
definitely
is
got the
aromatic.
citrusy.
I get a little bit of a piney to it, but the smoothness and the creaminess, not that creamy. Not that it's pretty. But what you're
Definitely
explaining is the
relic.
smoothness.
Yeah.
The smoothness right at the end. Smoothness as in it burns your mouth, but it just kind of has like right at the end, like the aftertaste is just like
I'm expecting something.
coffee.
Yeah, I'm expecting something much more bolder, but it's just like not hitting it. It's just like, taste, and it just goes like,
yeah.
I don't know how else
It's
to
like
describe it.
it's weird. It's like it gets like when you first sip it, it's like it gets bright and then it like cuts under
Does this thing have strata?
and just smooth out. It probably I've like strata hops.
Yeah.
What is it called? The Beast of Both Worlds.
Beast of Both Worlds.
Beast of Both
It says on the.
Worlds. Strata hops. Hops.
Okay. So I got the box.
Citra and Mosaic. You're on point, dog.
I know I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah.
Mosaic.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
on point.
I feel like
Mosaic is
the
definitely
citrus
there, yeah.
thing that's going at the peak, that's what's hitting it, and I think the
Mm-hmm.
mosaic is like what's like the aftertaste. That's like, I guess that's like that what makes it like kind of flat for me.
Yeah, I mean it smooths out right at the end. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, well let's get
Definitely-
into the actual show,
Yeah,
man.
definitely a duality there. All right, speaking of that. So, of course, season 5, volume 1, which was released after, was it before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving? I don't remember. So I
It was
watched
like
a couple
before.
days.
It was before.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I did get Netflix right after Thanksgiving. Great Thanksgiving. Me and my dad, we watched Frankenstein, and it was a blast. And I watched Stranger Things like around that time, and I thought it was pretty cool. Just to give you a little recap, you know, if you do remember season 4, like basically Hawkins, Indiana got split. You know, so there's like a rift in the earth that's just
The
like
middle
splitting
of the town.
the middle of the town, and then we're picking up from that, and it's basically like a military base around that whole center sphere of like Hawkins, Indiana, and all the residents outside of like the center, they're still living there, but you know there's still like shit going on, heavy military going around, and you know 11 and Hopper, they're just like out and hiding because of course the military is trying to find 11.
They're not
shit
just
like that.
hiding. She's training.
And she's training for for the obstacles that's going ahead, because
For
apparently
the shit to hit the fan.
Vecna is still alive.
Vecna.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's still a big presence in the Upside Down, and you know I have sort of my own theories on that, why that is. And you know everyone's just like having to live their lives, going to high school, and all the things that happened in the season 4 with like the Hellfire Club. Obviously, like Dustin is still like mourning after Joseph Quinn's character Eddie, and he's getting bullied and shit like that. But the main group, they're basically wanting to go back to the Upside Down to actually defeat Vecna for good. But what happens is like Mike's little sister actually gets kidnapped by Vecna, because apparently she's been seeing him in dreams, like as an imaginary friend. And, we find out that, it's
Kinda like
actually
It.
Henry. It's sort of like It, or it's sort of like another
Or
thing.
Freddy Krueger.
A Freddy Krueger type of guy, and he, welcomes himself as like a friend. And then it turns out that it's actually her whole classroom that has the exact same imaginary friend they've been talking to.
Draw similarities to the movie Weapons.
Yeah,
Anyone?
it could be weapons. It could be another conspiracy I might be talking about too, which I'll come to it later.
Shit.
So, this whole thing jumps into it when she disappears, and then they're basically finding a way to go to the Upside Down, or trying to lure out Vecna by one of the Demogorgons scouting out for them. So it's like a game of tic-tac-toe where the group is trying to find where the Demogorgon is going to summon, and them having to like trap it, and it's just a whole fucking action sequence that goes on beyond that. And then also 11 and Hopper going to the Upside Down while trying to find a clue to find Vecna, and they find this wall. It's like a body wall that's just like coming the center of of the Upside Down. I mean, where it turns out like that center where the wall is at, that's like the Hawkins lab. Coincidence much? So, there's something going on, and eventually they do find out what's going on right there. at the epicenter of that, and it turns out that her sister, I think number 8, is being like part of that mega experiment that they're using in the Upside Down to experiment her powers to power something that we still don't know what's going on and shit like that. And all
I
this
think I know what's going
and
on.
all this is being like led by what's her name? By Dr. K, play none other than Lena Hamilton from the Terminator.
The Terminator, ladies and gentlemen.
The Terminator lady. Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connors
Sarah
herself.
Connor herself. So,
That's a good way to come back as an actor.
I mean, she was like in the latest Terminator in a couple movies, but yeah. I mean, to come back to like
I feel
the
like
mainstream
I feel
share.
like after Stranger Things, like it's really flipped the narrative on what actors think about TV.
I mean, I think a lot of shows from TV is like
Sopranos, I guess, was really like the launch
first-
of it. But
yeah,
I
the
mean,
first
so
one.
that's neither here nor there. But just doing a tidbit.
Yeah. So I mean, all this is happening. Holly, Mike's sister, is still like in the Upside Down, but she has joined forces with none other than what's her name? I'm completely
Who?
butchering this. Oh, it is number 8.
Max.
Max. So there's another thing with Max. She's in the Upside Down, but she subconsciously she's there, even though she's like in the hospital in real life. So there's like a whole explanation, things that needs to be explained right there. And they're trying to figure out like what Vecna's plan is. And while Vecna's like in the shadows, eventually Vecna does come out of the Upside Down and wreck shit up, and they basically attack like the whole group that comes into the base that's holding the portal to the Upside Down. And in the sheer moments of like desperation, Will actually unleashes like a hidden power that he had, where he could actually, how would I describe it?
Use his bowl cut to intimidate Vecna.
Exactly.
No, I mean he uses his telekinesis, and he's able to basically, what we talked about in the Montauk experiment, project his consciousness through other beings.
Yes, because it turns out he could actually see through the Demogorgon as a first-person view without any reason. And it turns out he might have powers just based on his first encounter when he was
It's
in the
not he
Upside
might,
Down.
he has powers.
Okay.
I think that's very
No,
well.
that he might have got. Well, I guess yeah, that he
No,
got
he
it
has
like
powers, bro.
like what I'm saying, he might have got it powers at the first encounter when he was in the Upside Down, because the
I
prologue
think he always had powers.
before he was in the Upside Down.
Yeah, I feel that's
How?
why he was drawn. They were drawn to him.
So that's a
Like it
prediction.
was drawn to him.
Really.
Like it was finding more people. It was hunting for more,
People like them. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why he got
like,
kidnapped in the first season.
Exactly.
All right.
I mean, that's not really a prediction, but I mean, in my mind, that makes the most sense. Like
Yeah,
just
sure.
drawing from now doing research on the Montauk experiment. I mean, he was a Montauk boy.
Yeah, he was one of them. He was the original one. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I
one of the
guess.
new generations of them.
Yeah.
And not like it, where it's like every 27 years. And it was more of like, we need the power. We need the manpower to do whatever we're trying to do. And we need to find more.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, aside from Vecna doing his own, evil thing.
Yeah, just based
Right?
out of revenge because, 11 fucked him up and opened a portal. And, he brought him into the Upside Down. The Upside Down is his whole subconscious of his, like, content and resentment towards 11. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I read it, if anything. But, yeah, it was 4 episodes. Shit went wild. And now we're left with Will. He has powers. And they're about
The Sorcerer was the last episode we left off on.
We're about to go into the upside down. So
We've been in the upside down. This is probably the most time we've spent in the upside down.
That half of the group, they're going into the upside down.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm saying. So
For the first time, the ones that don't have powers and stuff like that.
I guess I don't know, man.
It's well, no, it's like you know, Steve Harry Harrington when they convert the BMW into the car, right? Chicka chicka, right? The Ferris Bueller reference, the BMW, they turn that into the vehicle to track.
I forgot about
and
that.
they drive through that. Remember that chocolate bar or whatever they said it was a goober or whatever. They were like, if it's like a goober, we could drive through it and it'll just let us go through. So remember, they like speed through and go through into the upside down.
Wow,
So yeah, you're right. This is their first time in that. So it's interesting.
Well,
it's cool.
I was talking about Will and the group going into the upside down because
That's
port
what
is
I'm
still
talking
open.
about.
No,
Kid
well,
Harrington.
they're already in the upside down. But I'm talking about the other half. Well, I guess the 1/3 of the fucking group, I would say, because 11 and Hopper were the first ones to go in there.
Yeah. So I'm talking about when they went into with the BMW, right? They all went in together.
I'm not talking about that one.
Will's brother, the girl from Scoops Ahoy, Steve Harry Harrington, and Nancy all went together.
Names?
Yeah, I mean that's her name.
The girls are Chips Ahoy.
Robin. I call her
Robin.
the Scoops Ahoy chick, but I know their names, man. But that's what I call her. But that's the thing, that they all went together. That's what you're talking about. That half of the group is in.
That
Yes.
2/3 of the group, and then the other third, they're going into the portal.
So this is my theory on Dusty. This is not really a theory. This is more of a speculation right
Dusty
here.
or Dustin?
But like Dustin. They call him Dusty sometimes. But basically, like, they're saying this guy is like a badass Data.
Okay, yeah, I can
He's
see
like
that.
a more badass version of Data. Like the Duffer brother was like, we need Data, but we need him to be more badass.
And white.
And then they like made Dustin, and like Dustin perfectly, like his arc in this series, in this part of the season, is just like he's becoming that fucking badass.
Yeah, I think
He's like a badass Data. He's like the Matrix.
Yeah, I think what makes him badass is the fact that he's smart, and then there's a trope where you're smart, you're a nerd, and you're kind of like, but he's not like that because he's already gone through loss, and he's defending Eddie, so he's just like, he's going through the ringer, like if he's gonna get his ass kicked, like he's like, fuck it, he's gonna talk shit, and then he's just gonna fucking take the hits as it is. I think that's where his strength is. He's just taking fucking hits.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the thing. That's the mark of a fighter. Mm-hmm. And who knows, man? Now that we're talking about it, are we making predictions now, or what are we doing?
I mean,
are we doing top twos?
We'll just keep talking about it. I think we have something more to it. Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to let's go into top twos, because this kind of like goes into like leading into our predictions and stuff like that, because these are our favorite scenes. I think our most notable scenes. Well, one of mine was already kind of the one that I showed you earlier, was like, I love that monologue. I just love the monologue that he does in that scene. That's fucking great.
Right.
I love that. I love how they wrote it. And I don't think a lot of people caught that. I think that like a lot of people played that scene in the background and didn't pay attention to it. But that scene, the writing is gold.
I think that's front and center.
Gold. Amazing writing.
Yeah, I think that's
second of all.
To be honest, I think that's just front and center. Only because he's back, and obviously he's very cheery, and it's just like, that's not him. And then where's the real guy? Where's him, the sarcastic, fucking mean-spirited type of guy?
Right.
And he's being like very cheery, and then he's all like,
yeah,
oh, well,
like Santa Claus.
I'm not fucking Santa Claus, this and that. I had to fucking push this and the fucking that. And then you really get deep into it, and you're just like, there he is. It's just like an anticipation.
That's the Murray we know and love.
That's anticipation
That's the guy.
of that character. It's just like,
right.
Oh, I see what they did. It's like, oh, he's a different character.
Yeah.
No, he's still the same one. Just give him some time. They're gonna give him shit. As soon as they give him shit, he's like, "Oh, I don't think you're trying to appreciate me," and he just goes off and off and off and off and off.
Yeah.
You know,
That was a good scene.
it was good writing right there. I agree.
Another scene that I loved. Well, this one was just one that was
guess
near
you
and dear
can
to
go.
my heart. Was just the beginning of the Sorcerer. Opened with a VHS of the Sword and the Stone, and Merlin coming through, and this scene is interesting because obviously the name of the episode is called The Sorcerer. Merlin is known as, in lore, the most powerful sorcerer, wizard, quote unquote, ever, right? But then you
He's
find out at
notable.
the
Yeah.
end of the episode that Will is, also has powers.
Right.
Well, what if Will is actually more powerful than 11 and he doesn't even know it?
Yeah.
You
There's
know?
a protection because now there's like a new player in the game where it's just like again like I guess this whole series you could see like everyone has a role, everyone has like he's the warrior, he's the ranger, he's like the sorcerer or whatever, and in the background Will has just been like dealing with his own things, and it wasn't until he dealt with his personal things that he found his inner power. Which, okay, I guess I'll go into my tops twos. Because one of my top twos is definitely like a character development. And that's when like Robin is it's like basically when Robin notices like, oh, because they had a talk earlier about like, oh, how do you know when someone likes you, or how does like, how does that all that works? Because he's just like very curious and just like wants to know like if someone's interested in him, because we already know that he's like dealing with his sexuality, and he has like this feelings towards Mike, who's his best friend. And as soon as she notices that, she I kind of noticed like, oh, is this gonna be a confrontation where he talks to him like, oh, this and that, like I noticed this with Mike, but she's more subtle about it, and she like, hey, you remember that girl? And then she's coming from her own experience and saying like, I thought like this person was like everything to me and this and that, and I looked up to her, but at the end of it, it's just like it wasn't really what I thought it was. And and then she was just talking about her own personal thing where like it wasn't until like I seen like a photograph or a film of myself when I was younger, and I just like kind of figured it out, like and it was sort of like a form of like self-loving. It was a message like saying like, oh, you gotta love yourself before you love others, in a way, or the most important
Right.
person is like you, and then you're never gonna know who you are until you really know who you really be aware of what you are. And that's not damn, like
You're getting emotional.
yeah, I'm
You're
getting emotional. It's really deep.
And no, but it's real though, because
Yeah.
this is the thing about it is like you if you don't have a synopsis of yourself, how can you add on to your story?
How could you know
with another character?
Yeah, how can you know yourself? And knowing yourself, you got to know your inner strength.
Right.
And once he realizes that, and everything that she talked about it, like that's what happens towards like the end of episode 4, where he starts to like remember all his memories about himself when he first met Mike, when he remembers his memory with like Jonathan. It's his existence and his like presence of himself is what makes people love him, and that kind of, it's like a self-appreciation of of his existence that influences like the people around him, that just makes him the person that he is. Like he has a role that he has to show, and that inner strength truly comes in, and you get to see like, okay, there's something in me that, you know, in the beginning, in the prologue, that he, what was this scary experience for him was actually like a strength, because he actually discovered like something when he went in the upside down, something from Vecna transferred over to him, and he was able to turn that power for himself.
Against him, yeah.
So now he's using that power against Vecna.
This was kind of like a similar thing,
It's
kind
like
of
Harry
going
Potter.
back to the way they kind of told the story to season 3, where they had the montage of 11 of her developing friendships with like Max, and like her through the summer of like all the different experiences, and like she would like use that as her power, like the love of her friends is like her power to like defeat Vecna and stuff like that, and defeat very harshly
season
wound.
3? Wait, season 3?
Huh? Yeah, that's in season 3.
Well, you're
apparently.
mentioning Vecna, but Vecna didn't come until season 4 last season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like in season 3 is when like she was able to defeat, like, remember she like went through and they defeated like that giant thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, didn't she use like some of that? She like went through like a montage and like, you know what I'm saying?
That was season 2 that
Like,
she went through a montage, I felt like, and it was like with her sister or some shit. That was with 8. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, it was one of those seasons. But if you watched the whole thing,
I
you know what the
yeah,
fuck
I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's not get hung up on specifics
No,
here. But
let's not.
during the story, there's a montage of her like using the friendships and all the power of her friends and blah blah blah, and she uses that power, you know. So like that's kind of like tying into that.
Right.
Okay. So like going into my predictions, okay, like are we ready to go into predictions now? Are you done with your top 2?
No.
Okay, what's your second one? I don't want to go into predictions
Sorry.
yet, but this is kind of leading into it.
Ah.
Teasing it.
Someone needs to get up early in the morning, so I see. So my second one will have to be like when
That ain't me.
it ain't you. It would have to be when Max and what's her face, Holly, when they go into that cave and they're just like, you know, discovering like what the hell is this shit about, you know? Because it seems like it's like her turning over her innocence, and we know like, oh, that's Henry, you shouldn't be friends with him and shit like that. And it's like also Max trying to figure out like her, like what is she doing there too. So it feels like it's like a turning mystery that we just haven't found. And honestly, it's just like, it feels like a good bonding moment, because it's like, I like it when like there's two, because it's a large fucking cast, and then when two characters like kind of connect and they're just like trying to figure things out, like you really get to see like both of them shine, really, because Holly comes off as like very naive and very innocent, and Max is just very tough, and like she gives off like an older sister vibe to it. So it's like sort of like I don't know, like I said, like it's just these two characters I haven't met, and I think that's what makes it interesting. And it's just like they're aware of each other, but they haven't met, and they're both just like in the same right where they're just trying to figure things out. And I feel like something's gonna come out of it with these two. If not, like I'll be kind of disappointed. But if anything, it's just like good character development, just like good writing right there. And I can't wait to see like what they're gonna do in the Upside Down and how that shit's gonna unfold. Cause
so this is going into how it's gonna unfold, because this is what I've been itching on. This is my prediction. Remember how we talked about the montage of like, 11 defeating, 1, and that they basically almost took him out, right? So at the end of the last episode, towards the end, 11 went up and she saw 8 in kind of like this Montauk. I don't even know what to call it. It was like a sensory deprivation tank, like a straitjacket, like a Hawkins lab straitjacket kind of deal. And they were like running blood inside, like to her. They were like doing like dialysis or something
Yeah,
on
so
her,
the dance, yeah.
and then they were also like going back to what we covered earlier of the Montauk inspiration. This is exactly like the Montauk chair. Like this is what I feel is representing the Montauk chair. Is this last like straight jacket, whatever they're putting 8 in, they're amplifying her telekinetic powers to something that is able. This is my prediction, okay? 8 is basically just like Vecna was able to create the upside down through his mind and like suck everybody in, and it became like an actual thing. 8 is actually continuing the resurgence of Vecna and
Yeah,
stuff, because Vecna I feel like
she's amplifying it.
might have, I feel like Vecna might
I
have
get
been
what you're saying.
defeated
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like very close to being almost done, but 8 came in and they were like, 8, you better do this or
Yeah.
else.
No, I get
And
what you're saying. She basically amplified that power that Vecna has.
the whole dimension.
The whole dimension that he has. And yes, like I think Vecna was like, very like at his last seconds, Voldemort style. And
Yes.
basically
I
he just
was
got
thinking that
he just somehow got resurrected and brought to like full form.
because of 8.
Yeah.
Because of 8.
But
Who
that-
knows?
yeah.
Because they forced 8 to do it.
But that's the question. Why are they making 8 do that? Like, what's the government's
Because she's
involvement?
probably the next most powerful that they know.
No.
of.
But why is the military actually amplifying Vecna in the first place?
Because he's the only one actively seeking the next Montauk boys.
Okay, I see.
That's the project to seek more.
So it's sort of
like
yeah. So it's
psyops
so it's a
kids.
recruitment. So it's just like
It's a
more
recruitment,
potential for more
exactly.
people to like the next
Exactly.
project. Oh,
And
so,
that's the whole point of this.
so
So, they're
basic-
like
okay.
recruiting more people
So basically
to like
they're
amplify this.
okay, so
they
they're
want to
ba-
daisy chain the power.
yeah. So they're basically continuing on, sort of like how the Philadelphia experiment is continuing on to like the
Exactly.
Montauk project, right?
Yes.
I think I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
So I mean, but that's what I'm saying. But who knows? Like, that was a crazy beast, right?
Right.
Like towards the end of season 4, and it like amplified, and then it went to Vecna. Vecna was like the crazier beast. So like, who knows? In the next 2 episodes, there might be something even crazier than those last 2 things.
Yeah, that'll be a turn.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Maybe it's
That
maybe it's 8.
that's the way to end it. That's the way to end it. And then they defeat that thing.
Maybe it's 8 herself. You never know.
Oh, and another good scene was when they all like booby trapped in Home Alone, the Demogorgon,
Yeah, that was
with
a
all
good
the
scene.
barbed wire and all the
Yeah.
stuff that we showed in the beginning of the season, or I mean, beginning of the episode.
What's another one? Oh yeah, the little fat kid, Derek, dipshit Derek.
Oh, dipshit Derek.
Dog.
I'm not dipshit Derek. I'm delightful Derek.
I like how like the shittiest characters they have a redemption for them, because the first like
Yeah.
the other one that I could think of is like Max's brother.
Yeah.
And then at the end we were just like, oh, he's a piece of shit, and at the end of it we're all fucking crying.
Redemption.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
cool.
sort of
Yeah.
like he's not like a one-dimensional character. He actually has the smarts. Like he's actually a pretty likable character if you get to know
So
him.
I mean, just saying that, maybe like at the end of it, a good prediction might be that one may come back and actually be the good guy in all of this and do his redemption.
I don't know.
Who knows?
That's a
Who knows? That's a
far-fetched.
that's a far fetched. But I mean, if it happened, everyone would be like, "Oh shit!" Right? Like people would trip out. I feel like at that kind of ending. you know?
Yeah. I feel for my prediction, I feel like Will be the one to like unscrew all this outcome, but I feel like it's gonna come at a sacrifice, and rather than like 11 has been like the most powerful being
Yeah.
in that series. I feel like Will's not gonna upstage her in any way. It's just like his powers is just gonna rise up to the occasion that 11's gonna help in some way, but at the end of it, it's gonna be Will that's gonna like pull through, and he's gonna be like not a martyr, but like just sort of like the hero of the story.
Why hold away from why hold away from that? Maybe he is gonna be the martyr.
Yeah, you know. But I mean, martyr has a completely different context itself, you know, and it's just like for political reasons, which I don't want to make a political thing out of
Why are
it.
you gonna make a political? This is not a
Because
political
martyrs-
thing. This is Stranger Things.
Well, martyrs
Look.
are political figures in that
Okay,
sense.
well, whatever. Look,
Context.
this is my point. Is like looking at all the main players of this. The only real martyr that's gonna be, I feel, would be Hopper, because he's already died once.
Yeah. It's a Game of Thrones
You
type
know?
of thing. Yeah.
So it's like if he dies, it's like, you know, that's what he was meant to do, and people won't feel bad about it. You
People
know,
are gonna feel bad
as
about
far
it.
as far as my prediction for Will, I feel like Will is actually more powerful than whatever is going on.
Yeah.
And he's seeking that power. And now 11, I feel like in the next episode or two, might be training Will and be like, Will, this is how you do things, and like show him the ropes. Like a short montage on
Yeah.
how to run the upside down, basically.
Yeah, maybe
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he does show him the way, but Wells somehow is like more advanced to the point
Yeah.
where he could be the next Vecna, and then that could be the turning point where he actually becomes a villain.
Yeah.
You know, so now it's like
Yeah.
from Vecna to like Will, and then Will's like, oh, well, he defeated Vecna, but you know, now that Will is more powerful, how do we stop Will from becoming, you know, the very top? And then
Because he's the wizard.
I
He's
don't
the
know.
good guy. He's the Gandalf.
maybe, but this should give,
Yeah,
there could be
no,
an
he
aversion.
is.
Yeah, he
He
is, but there could be an aversion to it where like, oh,
Well, who knows? Only we shall see in the next couple of
Yeah,
episodes.
if
But
anything.
that's why this episode is
wait,
being recorded
yeah.
now.
Here's another thing. Speaking of like, you know, who might make it or might not make it, just based on like what's been presented to us. But that whole Nancy and Jonathan thing, and then with Jonathan having to propose to, you know, is planning to propose to her, and it's like, oh, that's a good
yeah.
thing. Yeah, it's a
That's
good
another
thing.
the proposal of.
But then it's like kind
yeah.
of like, you know, it's a good thing. It's like, oh, what if one of them dies? And it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
he was supposed to propose to him or her. She was like, I don't know. And then that.
But what if
that kinda
he's
puts a
the
risk.
sacrifice that ends up like sacrificing himself for his love? You know.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Or
Who knows?
you know,
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good things coming up. I think we wrapped it up in that context. But I mean, what are your final thoughts on everything?
my final thoughts is like this seems to be a promising volume 1, but you know, with volume 2, the stakes are gonna be much higher. We're gonna be sad, and then by the finale, it's just like
Emotions will run high.
like we're just ready to cry. We're just ready to be. But I feel like
We're ready to cry.
we're ready to be. But I feel like the finale is gonna be like Return of the King, where the ending's just gonna
Yeah.
be fucking long, and resolutions are gonna be like, you know,
I mean, they're gonna show it in the
closers.
theaters. They're gonna show it in the theaters.
oh shit, we gotta
gonna be
make a
dope.
watch party. Gotta make a watch
What's
party.
Okay, are we doing sip on this?
Savon is. You go first.
Man, sip on this. Well, the last movie I saw. This is a bad sip on this, but the last movie I saw was Five Nights at Freddy 2.
I saw that too. Yeah.
Jesus
No,
Christ.
let me tell you my experience.
That was I've had shits better than that movie.
Let me tell you my
Okay.
experience. So I haven't told you about this person, but you know, I've been driving around some old woman, right? And you know, she's very opinionated. You know, I like her company. Sometimes, like, you know, she hires
Driving
me
Miss
to drive her.
Daisy, is that
Yes,
kind of vibe? right
exactly.
there?
It is. And you know, she's like, oh, like, let's go to the movie. So I was like, I want to watch a horror movie. And then the older horror movie was Five Nights at Freddy's. I was like, let's go see this. And, you know, I was kind of curious. She doesn't know anything about it. When she comes out, oh my God, what was that freaking garbage? Every one of those characters, those actors, they're not going to make a movie ever again. That was just terrible. What was the insanity on that? That was not a normal movie. not a normal movie.
It wasn't, bro. It really wasn't.
And you know what? She hasn't.
It was
seen,
like it
bro,
got chopped
she
or
hasn't.
something.
She hasn't seen a movie since 2002. Since she's seen Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit is like a decent, good movie, and then she sees this.
Oh my god.
I was like, that was too much for you, was it? I was like, that was absolutely like, God, what are they doing?
What was that?
People are insane. People are insane.
What a movie. Honestly, that would be the movie to show her, like, this is where we're at.
This
in
is the
society
status
now.
of fucking, yes, of Hollywood.
This is it. This is really it, dude. And the worst
yeah.
part is Shaggy, my boy that was on Scooby Doo.
Oh my
He's
God.
going down with that Titanic, man.
Bro.
That shit was terrible, bro. I fell asleep and I was like, like maybe I'm just tired.
This is probably not
and then
the
I
movie
looked
to
up,
show.
I was like, what the? And then at the end, I woke up and I was like, what the fuck just happened? And then I
You
looked
didn't
at the
miss much.
reviews. I looked at the reviews and then I was like, it was like 2 out of 5, 1.5 out of 5, 3 out of 5. And I was like, what the fuck? And then everyone was like, the only thing more dysfunctional than this movie was the animatronics that this movie was based on. It was like comments like that, dude. So I was like, oh my God, what a hunk of crap. That was so, dude, it's such a money grab. They're not even like fucking, they don't care anymore, bro. They don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And the parents that go and take the kids to go watch this, they can't, they like go and talk to other people that
Honestly-
like watch movies and they're like, that movie was like, I don't know. And they're like, well, you're watching kids movies.
Yeah,
we don't know that was movies.
I think there's like two camps because I'm aware that, you know, as like a movie gore, yeah, that was a bad movie. But, you know, if you're a fan of like Five Nights at Freddy's, there's more lore into it going into it. Because
Right.
there is like a hidden character, which I'm not going to spoil. And, you know, people were acknowledging it and they're like, oh shit. Like that became like a fucking, like a drop of mic moment or
It's
whatever.
lore,
the fuck. Yeah. And it's just like,
I mean, look, I'm not going to diss on the lore because obviously they built
the
a
lore's fucking
cool
rich.
world
Yeah, it's rich.
and
Yeah.
stuff. But as a movie,
It didn't work.
I mean, the way they wrote it didn't work.
Yeah.
Maybe if they did like the video game, like step by step, then they probably would have written or like something a little bit cooler. But I mean, they already created characters, whatever. But I just want to talk about how an incredible hunk of shit that was, in my opinion. And I
Okay.
don't have opinions like that on this podcast all the time, okay?
Yeah.
But that was like
bad.
sleep-worthy, man. I was snoozing.
Yeah, coming from the guy who likes Welcome to Derry. Anyways, so
Wow.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna fucking say that. Never settle for mediocrity. So, and I'm gonna go back to mediocrity. with
It's
the
pronounced
sip on this.
mediocrity.
Mediocrity.
Continue.
Idiocracy. Anyways, so apparently they're gonna show 2 trailers for upcoming movies. If you go watch Avatar: Fire and Ash,
Okay.
I feel kind of like bad because I mean, take it as you will. Fire and Ash was probably like a very well accomplished movie that took time and very well crafted. But at the end of it, it's just like probably the same movie you've seen over. But you know, there's they're showcasing movies like they're showing 4 different versions of like Avengers Doomsday. Depending on which version you're watching, there's like different ones. And I guess that's exciting for the Marvel fans if you're still a Marvel fan at this point. But this one I'm kind of more glad of. Like they're gonna show a 6-minute scene from the upcoming movie The Odyssey, which is directed by Christopher Nolan.
Nice.
And
Nice.
only in IMAX screenings of that movie. You know, so
Of what movie?
of Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Okay, so if you watch Avatar Fire and Ash in IMAX, you'll see 6 minutes of The Odyssey by
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So
That's
I
dope.
think this is something that Christopher Nolan has done in the past. So if you watch like an IMAX movie, that's, you know, whatever.
It just wants you to. It wants to sell you.
It
on
wants
the
to sell.
experience.
It wants to sell you on the optimization of the IMAX cameras, which this movie for the first time is gonna use like it's gonna be shot entirely in IMAX screens, in IMAX cameras. So it's very exciting, and I think that's like the most exciting thing that's gonna happen in 2026. Despite like Avengers Doomsday, I don't know about that, but hopefully it's good. But with this one, that's my sip on this.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's been a show. This is probably, I don't know, in my opinion, this is probably the show that we've done the most research on as of late.
Yeah.
We're on episode on 124, and according to Chat GPT and Google, how many episodes of Fear Factor
What?
are there?
That's so random. That's so random. Manny, just cut it.
I just want to hold on. This is
Okay, fine.
This is why. Blah, 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 142. We're at 124. We're like 20 episodes away from completing Fear Factor
144.
and all the seasons, okay?
Yeah.
So that's the point that I'm trying to make.
I guess.
It's been a long ride. It's been a crazy year. This might probably be our last podcast of the year, Sergio, if you think about it. So I just want to thank everybody out there that's watched our videos. People out there that have listened to us, thank you for listening. It's been a crazy ride. We got some plans up ahead. So we'll see you in the next year in 2026. That's crazy to say.
It is. Every time is crazy.
Anything you want to say, Sergio?
Yeah. Say goodbye to 2025. It's been a fun ride. 2026. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. All right.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go. All right.
See ya.
Project Montauk, Stranger Things. Let's see what happens. I'm thinking my predictions will come true. I want to put some money on it. Who wants to put some money on it? We'll see what happens.
Music.
All right. We're hitting it, baby. We hit the button already. Thank you for listening. See us at Golden Craft Cast on Instagram. Email us. Watch our YouTube. Subscribe if you want to. Check it out. Sip a beer. Peace out.
Later.